I've had my fair share of unusual situations in life, and the story I'm about to share easily makes it into my top 10 funniest moments. But beyond the laughs, it also taught me one of my most valuable life lessons. In the first 5 episodes of the podcast, we've talked a lot about my identity as a woman, as a Black woman, and my Franco Gabonese cultural roots. Today's story touches on all three aspects because honestly, what's more emblematic of a woman's identity than her hair? And let's be real, trying to talk about my identity as a Black woman without mentioning my hair would be like making a pizza without cheese. My hair is everything to me, and, well, it's a whole story in itself. In pictures of me at 3 years old, I had a little belly like a beer drinker and two huge pigtails sticking out like antennas. By the time I was 9, doing my hair was an impossible mission. My mom and sister had to team up just to get it into a ponytail. I was every hairdresser's nightmare. Every appointment started with the same desperate reaction as soon as they undid my hair. Wow, you have a lot of hair. I almost felt sorry for them. I didn't just have a lot of hair. I had a mane, a real jungle on my head. Not only was my hair super kinky, but it was also incredibly thick. Long, thick, kinky hair, and I was mistreating it. I didn't like my hair and didn't take care of it. It was either braids or intense chemical straightening sessions. By the time I got to high school, I discovered wigs, and thus began a great love affair. Episode number 5, A Wig at Sea. Hey guys, it's Lucrece. You're listening to Destiny Podcast. Although today's episode title doesn't leave much room for suspense, let me tease you a bit before diving into the story. Because honestly, there's a whole background to understand before we get to the hair disaster. You see, no matter where she's from, a Black woman's hair is a crucial part of her identity. In fact, the Black hair industry is thriving in the Afro community because our hair requires so much care. Back then, though, the monopoly on Black hair products was held by white-owned companies. I'm not trying to make it all about race, but it's just a fact. Just putting that out there. The marketing back then was all about taming your hair. On most of the packaging my mom used, Black women rarely had natural afros. They had straight, curly, or wavy hair. And in the music videos I watched, it was the same. Black women either had braids, straightened hair, or perfect curls. My idea of beauty was evolving daily. For me to be a beautiful Black woman, I needed to have hair like the women on the packaging or in the music videos. And this is the context for my story. I was in my 20s, getting ready to go on my second vacation with my then boyfriend. Let's call him Mark. We'd met in high school, senior year, and started dating that same year. So I meet Mark the year I discovered and started wearing wigs, of course in secret from my mom, who was absolutely against wigs for school. Sorry, Mom. Important detail. Mark is white. And I was this young Black girl in the middle of an identity crisis, almost convinced I was more African American than Franco Gabonese. I was this girl struggling to accept herself, dating a white guy who had absolutely no idea of the inner battle I was fighting to embrace myself. To him, I was just Lucrece, his girlfriend. One day, he rather clumsily admitted, while I was wearing braids, that he didn't like when I wore them or my African dresses and North African tunics. I was a bit hurt by the comment, which I interpreted in my own way, as I often did. To me, Mark was telling me I looked prettier with my fake straight hair than with my braids, the very symbol of my African identity. For the record, years later, Mark apologized for that comment. But I never really held it against him, poor guy. Sure, I was upset at the time, but I knew he didn't mean to hurt me. I took it the way I wanted, especially since I already didn't like my hair at the time. So I naturally ended up believing I was prettier with wigs or weaves than with my real hair. In the end, I rarely wore my natural hair, and that was just me. I felt good that way. Before our second vacation together, I prepped with my usual routine. Pre-trip shopping. 2 days before our flight to Tunisia, I bought my fabulous new wig, long and slightly wavy. I was feeling fly. First day at the beach, the sea was wild with massive waves. Mark dives headfirst into the water. Oh man, beyond loving him, I admired him truly. So, what did I do? I dove headfirst into the raging waves, completely oblivious, yes, oblivious to the fact that, unlike Mark, my hair wasn't real. Guys, I come up from the water and Mark is staring at me in shock. He yells, "Oh my God, your hair is gone," or something like that. Friends, let me tell you, it was pure panic. I touched my head and my wig had been swallowed by the waves. Mark and I frantically turned to look for it. He spotted it, drifting away with the current. Seeing me in tears, he tried to swim out and get it, but the waves were too strong. He couldn't. I was having a full-on breakdown, crying, my hair, can you believe that? My hair? It was a synthetic wig that didn't cost much, but to me, it was my hair. Mark and I got out of the water and there were people on the beach. I thought they must have been thinking, she went into the water with hair and came out bald. What the heck? We went back to the hotel, and I was in a pitiful state, really pitiful. I cried because I had no idea how to style my hair for the rest of the trip. In my head, my vacation was ruined. I even wondered if I should go back to France because of that lost wig. And more than anything, it was the first time Mark had seen me with my real hair. We'd been together for almost 2 years, just saying. I had a complete meltdown, telling Mark we had to find a new wig. We spent the rest of the day and evening searching for one. We were directed to a hair salon. The stylist didn't have any wigs, but she offered to do my hair. I was devastated. Obviously, she didn't have the skills to style Afro hair. I left with a hairstyle I hated. After a while, Mark, fed up with my complaining, said, "Okay, enough. You're not going to make a big deal out of a wig. We don't care. We're on vacation. We spend a whole day looking for hair. We're not going to spend the rest of the trip doing that. Stop. Your real hair looks fine." And at some point in the conversation, I remember him saying that he didn't love me because of my hair. That sentence started the healing, or rather opened the door to healing from years of rejecting my identity. Without knowing it, he opened the door that allowed me to understand, and more importantly, accept who I was. From that point on, I began to allow myself to love myself. Of course, it was gradual. I kept wearing wigs, and I still do. But that moment helped me realize I was more than just the appearance I put on. I was more than the negative version of myself I had created. And in the end, people either liked or didn't like me for the whole of who I was. I was already me before, but I struggled to be fully myself. Today, I can assure you that I am very proud to be Black. Very proud of my hair, despite my alopecia. I have no problem going out in public with my real hair, even though I've lost a lot of its thickness. My hair has broken off over time, but it's still mine. And every day, I learn how to care for it. I've turned my hair into an asset. I realized it's an advantage to be able to switch hairstyles in the blink of an eye. I've even learned to have fun with it. Black hair fascinates people, and I enjoy it. I can have a big afro one day and beautiful curls the next. During my first professional experience in television, my boss nicknamed me Mane, and it didn't bother me because yes, I have a mane, and it's an advantage. I don't look like anyone else but me, whether I'm a redhead, blonde, yes, I tried blonde, or rocking a bob or another style, I am me, Lucrece Tyrou, Franco-Gabonese. Lesson number 6. Wear your crown with pride. Kinky, curly, straight, frizzy, wigged, or weaved. Wear your crown with pride. Hey, this was Lucrece. See you soon for another episode of Destiny Podcast.